I don't want routine. I want what God wants. And if you want something routine and not what God wants, then you're not looking for church. You're looking for a program. I'm trying to hurt no feelings this morning. Malachi chapter 3, verse 3. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver, they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. I told y'all several times that when I was studying this out, this would have been my first message about the furnace. It would have been my first, and I'd have done it in a different order, but that shows you what I know about things. The Lord's got, He's the one that has a plan, and we ended up this one being the last one instead of the first one, but I think it's the most important of all of them. And we need to understand this morning, what the Lord has for us. I've already read Isaiah 48:10 about being refined in the furnace of affliction. That's where this thought comes from. And in Malachi 3:3, God gives us a picture of Himself as a refiner and a purifier of silver, as a silversmith. That's what we see God as. And He is intentional with what He does, and He's intimate with what He does, and His purpose is to purify His people. Now this, in the book of Malachi, is the last word from God for some time. There's silent years in between the book of Malachi and the book of Matthew. This is the last inspired, the last writer, the last prophet, the last one speaking to the people. And he is giving them an idea about what his purpose is for them. God is referring to Himself as this refiner of silver in not just a random fire. It's not just a fire. We built a fire most nights that we were able to here at Vacation Bible School, and everybody's got their own way of building a fire. I've got a whole bunch of different ways I like to build mine, and I tend to find myself when somebody else is building a fire critiquing them in my mind. Used to, I'd probably tell them. I don't anymore. I smile and think, I wouldn't have stacked that right there. But the reason I say that is that God has a plan for us, and we don't always see His plan as the way we want it. We would do things different, obviously, but you don't get the same result. But a campfire roasting marshmallows is a little different than the process of refining that involves heat and patience and skill and extreme heat. Extreme heat. And the goal is purity and righteousness. That's the goal. I want to notice this morning the purpose of the furnace and the process of the refining, the presence of the refiner and the product of the refinement. What's the purpose of the furnace? We look at our verse, and he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. What is the purpose of the furnace? Well, it's to purify. The furnace's job has one purpose, and that is to purify the material. No other job is to purify the material. Now, when you purify it, what happens? It gets stronger. It's prettier. We can go down through a long list of things that it does, but the purpose is purification. Silver in its raw form contains what they call in the metal fab world dross. Dross is waste and impurities. It's what they're trying to get rid of. Trying to get rid of that stuff. You know, the fire is not meant to destroy the silver. The fire is meant to destroy and remove the impurities. Your furnace that you're in is supposed to remove what doesn't belong in your life. God uses trials and corrections and testing. He uses obstacles in life, what we would want to call a curveball, I guess, to cleanse us of our sin. That's the purpose. Maybe it's to remove pride or selfishness. Maybe it's to build our faith for a future purpose. But the fire is to remove what doesn't need to be there and to strengthen the material. So maybe you're living for Jesus. We talked about it for several weeks. Those Hebrew folks that we found in Hebrews chapter 10, they were living for Jesus, buddy. They were committed. They were going to church. They were reading their Bibles. They were doing everything. They had the joy of the Lord, and they had everything in the world happening to them. Their purpose of the furnace was to strengthen us, was to strengthen the ones around us. Sometimes your furnace may not even be for you. What about that? May not even be for you. It's for you to help somebody else. Lots of purposes for that furnace. What about purifying impurities? But it also prepares us for righteous worship. Prepares us to worship the right way. It says in that verse that the sons of Levi, the Levites, those were your priests, the ones that handled the operations of what they called worship. It says that he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them, that they may offer unto the Lord offerings in righteousness. Why do we have a furnace? So that we can be purged and provide the Lord an offering in righteousness. This purifying that has to happen, if you look at in the order of it, it says that purifying the sons, purging them, and then worship. God is working on us in the furnace to purify us, to purge out what he doesn't want, so that he can build us into what he wants us to be, to help us to find righteousness, to help us worship the right way. If he has not removed what needs to be removed, we can't worship the way we need to worship. This furnace, it doesn't just cleanse us. It also has the purpose of consecration. We are purified and strengthened. The furnace removes what don't need to be there and adds to our strength. That's the purpose. What about the process of the refining? This is what I love. My wife and kids can attest to this. If I don't have anything else to watch on TV, and I don't watch TV much, I've turned it on like 2 or 3 times the last month, probably, since we got out of school. But I watch Mountain Men, and I watch, what else do I watch? Homestead Rescue. That's what I'm talking about. It's good stuff. And then I watch Forged in Fire. Anybody ever watch that? That's the knife making show. Love it. I love watching that kind of stuff. Why do they put it in the furnace? Why do they put it in there? They're heating it up, and then they put it on a table, and what do? They beat it with a hammer. Why? If you've never watched, I'm going to paint you a picture. They put that metal in that fire. And when it's in that fire, it gets to glowing red. And then it gets almost yellow. And when it gets to that glowing yellow stage, it's nearly too hot, it's going to fall apart. And they get it out of there, and they put it on an anvil or on a press, and I'm getting in another message. I better stop. They put it on that anvil, and he takes a hammer, and he hits it. And what is that blacksmith doing? He's beating the impurities out of it. If you look at that metal after he hits on it a few times, what do you see? You see little layers crinkling up and falling off. And he takes a wire brush and he brushes it off. It's got a little sparkle to it after that. And then what happens? It goes back in the fire. And he does that until when he's beating on it, the shape is what he wants, and there's no more bits of impurities coming out of it. Or, if he's a modern day blacksmith, which the kind I would like to be, he's got all kinds of fancy presses. He pulls it out of the fire and he puts it in that press, he mashes a pedal, and it takes hydraulics and it mashes that metal. And when they push down on that metal, you see the waste and the stuff that don't need to be in there just rolling off of it in layers. He'll put it in there this way, and then he'll pull it out and he'll put it in there this way, and then he'll do it this way, and then he'll do it this way, over and over and over and over. And when it starts cooling down, takes it out of the press, and puts it back in the fire. And he does that until it has the shape that he wants, and there's no more of the waste rolling off of it. You should watch it. Watch you some blacksmith work. I don't recommend always listening to what you say, but watch you some of it. The process of refining includes pressing, beating, and heat. Some of us, I know some of y'all, have experienced some pressing and some beating and some heat. That's the refining process. Refining is not easy. For those impurities to rise to the top or to the outside of that material during the process of refinement, it's got to be heated to a temperature that the impurities cannot take, but the material can, so that it gets them out. And then pressing, see the little chemical makeup, the molecules inside that. We've been talking about silver, so we'll talk about silver. Silver in its natural form is porous. Porous means it's got a lot of little pockets of air in it. It's got holes in it. If you know anything about metal, anything about welding, anything about something like that, you get some air pockets in there, little bubbles, little something other. The weld is weak. The silver in its natural form has pockets of air. It also has pockets of dross. That's what they call dross. That's the professional term for it. But it's just waste. It's dirt and rock and coal and other materials that they don't want in there. And they'll mine it, and it'll come out, and they may have a big block of it about this big. But that block that's this big, when they get done with it, is probably going to be 1/5 to 1/10 of that in actual silver form. The only way to get that out of there is to heat it to a temperature that those waste pieces cannot take, and they got to come out. And then press it. The silver is being compacted together, and all the waste in the air is being removed. That's why you beat it with a hammer, and that's why you put it in a press. There was space being taken up in that silver by something that didn't need to be there. And the silversmith is filling it with what's supposed to be there. You can't get rid of the waste without the press and the beating. We want to be more like Jesus. We all would say that. Everybody here would say, I want to be more like Jesus. it takes extreme heat, some beating, and a press. It's not an easy life. The impurities, they rise to the top under that intense heat. I'm going to tell you something that's amazing about the process of the refining. That silversmith, did you know, I'm going to talk to Brother Bill for a minute, and y'all listen. Brother Bill he's a master welder now. I'm a welder. I can weld good enough to make it hold together. It's ugly. He's a master welder. The difference between us is that he has spent years making mistakes and learning how to do it right. That's what we call wisdom. I would say that in a lot of cases, we could weld and I could make it stick. His is going to be beautiful. Mine's going to have some problems. His is going to be right. And if we were doing the same thing, anybody could come in and tell the difference in our welds, I promise. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that a master welder is not a dime a dozen. A master welder is somebody that has had an immense amount of time learning the trade, learning the skill, and knows. We were talking the other day, and I don't want to spend a lot of time here because I got a lot left I want to say. But we were talking about a class. I'm going to teach metal fab in the fall, and he's going to help me. And I was talking about, this is how I teach him how to do it. And he said, well, I just go over and turn it on and listen to it. And I'm like, yeah, because you know, because you're a master. I can't do that. He knows so much that he can just listen to the way the welder sounds and see it, and he knows what to do. Well, we're having to teach. That is mastering a trade. Now, a silversmith, if you don't know this about him, a silversmith is the ultimate refiner. Silver is an extremely hard material. Silver has the most waste in it, typically, than any other material. Silver is the most fragile in the furnace. Silver takes more attention and more focus than any other material. It's the hardest to work. Why do you think that they referred to our God as a silversmith? We're the most fragile. We're the hardest to deal with. We all have our own issues. This process of refining, that silversmith takes that silver and he puts it in the center of the fire where it's the hottest. And he has to focus on it and have all his attention when it's in the hottest part of the fire. Sometimes we feel like we're overwhelmed when we're in the center of that fire. When we feel like we're fighting for our life, trying to keep our head above water, any way you want to talk about it. But God is targeting the deepest impurities in us when we're in the hottest part of the fire. 1 Peter 1:7 says that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire. Our impurities that God's trying to get out of us, our furnace of affliction, is much more precious than that of gold. God is trying to make us into what he wants us to be. The furnace, remember, is to get rid of what he don't want and to make us stronger so that we can be what he wants us to be. The fire's got to be carefully watched. That silversmith, a furnace that a silversmith is running looks different than other furnaces. Silversmith furnace, he has to sit. They're typically a lot smaller, but he has to sit and be ultra focused. He can't be doing other things. See, a lot of other forging and furnace processes, they can do a lot of things at one time. They put the metal in there. They know, okay, I've got a little bit of time, whatever. I'm going to go do a bunch of other things and come back to it. Not a silversmith. He's got to sit there and watch that silver that's in the middle of the fire. If it's left too long or heated too much, the silver's ruined. It'll go liquid and just fall. The refiner never walks away. He never loses his focus. He's focused on the silver that's in the fire. God's eye is always on us. He's the master silversmith. When we feel like a lot of times in these fires, I can speak from experience, you can't see God, you can't hear God, you can't feel God, you feel alone, and you feel like that you are about to break, I can't take it anymore, you're about to lose your mind. And you're praying and you feel like God ain't listening. He's there. He's listening. If he puts you in the furnace, you know what he's doing? He's focused on you and watching, making sure you're all right. He's not going to leave you in there too long. He's not going to leave you in there too long. He's not going to let anything happen to you. He's not going to put on us more than what we can handle. And here's why I'm going to say this. I don't really like that verse. I'm not saying I don't like the verse. I don't like the way people use the verse when we think that God's not going to put on us more than we can bear. He's going to put on us more than we can bear. But us through Him can bear anything. The goal and the purpose is to build and to strengthen us. That process has a lot of steps. Did you know that silver is refined, has more steps in the refining process than any other material? More steps. It's not short and sweet. Did you know that each step in the process of refining silver takes longer than the step before it? The silver has to stay longer in the fire than it stayed in there the last time it was in the fire. Isn't that amazing? Silver develops strength from the first time in the furnace. When it goes back in, it takes more fire and more pressing. Comes out, the waste is removed, it's brushed off a little bit. What happens? It goes back in the fire for longer than the time before. Why is it always that our current furnace that we're in, storm that we're in, mountain we're climbing, however we want to look at it, seems like it's the worst one we've ever dealt with? Because it takes more each time God refines us. Every time He builds your strength, every time He puts you through something, it's got to be harder, it's got to be hotter, the press has to be stronger to make you stronger. If He's not heating you up any more than He did the last time, then nothing is going to leave that needs to leave. The impurities in us, our strength can't increase if we don't get hotter than we got last time. What does that mean? That means that you're stronger right now than you've ever been. You might not feel like it. I'm just telling you, you might feel the weakest. You're stronger now than you've ever been. That furnace, each time you go in there, you get stronger. Each refining makes the silver in higher quality and purer. It becomes better and better and better and better. Psalms 12:6 says, the words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in the furnace of earth, purified 7 times. It's the number of completion. We're looking to be perfect. God has a plan for us to be perfect. When are we going to be perfect? When we're with Him. But He's going to work on us while we're here. If life is easy and you're not going through anything and you don't remember the last time you had a hard time, you might want to check up. God said that He's not going to leave us. He's going to finish the work He started in us. Lastly here, I'm going to put two together. I want to notice the presence of the refiner. We've looked at the purpose of the furnace and the process of the refining. Let's notice the presence of the refiner. He sits and watch. He is not rushing. He's deliberate in what he does. He is not impulsive. He is not just seeing what happens. The silversmith has a very, very structured and meticulous plan of action. The silversmith knows. You know, a lot of times before somebody's a silversmith, they go through all the other trades of smithing before they can ever qualify to be a silversmith, or not qualify, be good enough to do it. And that silversmith is focused, and he's got a plan. Okay? God is not just letting life happen to us. He's crafting and shaping you. He's got a plan. He's focused on you. God's work is deliberate. It's not impulsive. Not only does he sit and watch, but he's close to the fire. He's got to be close to it. Silversmithing's hard because they have to stay closer to the fire than anybody else. They got to have their face down there where they can see how the material's reacting in the middle of that fire. It's hard. He doesn't walk away. He doesn't stay at a distance. He's near the flame and he's near the silver. God, when you're in the hottest part of the fire, is closer than any other time. God is closer to you when you're suffering than any other time in your life. You may not feel it, you may not know it, but He is. With Him having you in the furnace, He's got to be closer. He's got to be focused. Them Hebrew children, He got in there with them. God's with us. Don't ever think because of what you're going through or what you've been through or these things in your life that God's done with me and He's through with me, He's hurt me and He's thrown me away. No, no, no. He said He's going to finish the work He started with you. And when you're in the fire, He's closer than He's ever been. Closer than He's ever been. I want to notice the product of the refinement. What is produced? This is the last thing, I promise. What is produced? His goal, the silversmith's goal in the beginning, is to come out with perfect silver. He wants it to be 0.99999 from here to Jacksonville. All right? Perfect. Now we've already established that we can't be perfect until we're with Him. But He wants us to be as close to perfect as we can be. You'll never find a grading of quality of silver that says it's pure 100%. It's always going, you can look at it, it's always going to be graded out with 0.9 a whole bunch of times. We're not going to be perfect till we're with Him, but He wants us to be as close to perfect as possible. The refining process. What is the end result of the refining? It is as perfect as possible. It is what He says right there, righteousness. That is what His goal is. Did you know that a master silversmith doesn't use any type of tool to tell if the silver is complete? Did you know that the silversmith does not pull the silver out and let it cool off and do some kind of test of weight, of magnetism, I'm thinking about all these other materials. Many years ago, I had to take several college classes on strength of materials in my engineering degree. Some of it's coming back to me slowly. He didn't use all these other processes. I didn't mention that a while ago, by the way, that the silver never cools down until he's finished with it. God's work on you is never finished. You're not finished until you're perfect, and you're not perfect till you're with Him. He's always working. But the refiner knows that the silver's ready. Get this now, this is what when I was studying this and I was reading about it, and it made me shout. Now listen, the refiner knows when the silver is finished, because when it's in the furnace, he can see his reflection in it. Silver is in its perfect form when the flat gray color falls off and a polished mirror finish is what's on it while it's in the fire. Say, how does that happen? Well, I've looked at some of it, and I can't tell. I'm not a master silversmith, obviously, but they can see a reflection on the material. The silversmith knows the metal, that silver is finished and is complete when he sees his reflection in it. What's God's goal in our lives? He wants to see as much of himself in us as he can. The silver's complete when he can see his reflection in us. When he looks at us and he sees himself, that's when he knows he's done. Romans 8:29 mentions to be conformed to the image of his Son. That's what he wants. We're done when we look like Jesus. Now, honesty moment here again. I don't look like Jesus, and I don't act like Jesus, and we're supposed to be angry and sin not, and I struggle with that, you know. He knows that we're finished when we look like Jesus. You look like Jesus this morning? Anybody? I don't. And if you feel like you do, pray about it a little while, and you'll realize that you don't. You know, just being honest with you. That refined silver, once it's purified, once it becomes useful and beautiful and valuable and reflective, it's finished. God refines us so that we can serve and that we can worship and we can glorify Him with purity and with purpose. He's talking about in our passage in Malachi chapter 3 about being he's purifying the sons of Levi so that they can provide an offering in righteousness. He's trying to refine us to look like Him. He's trying to refine us so that when people see us, they see Jesus. When you're going through something hard, when people look at you, do they say, now that right there, that's a Christian. They are Christ-like. When you're going through the toughest thing that you feel like you've ever been through in your life, when you look in the mirror, what does your reflection show? Oh me, I'm just telling you. We're supposed to look like Jesus. The reason people get out of the faith is because of the furnace. A lot of time, I'm just telling you. Living for Jesus is hard. Coming to church ain't hard. Reading your Bible might seem like it's hard to sit down and make time for. Reading the Bible ain't hard. Praying ain't hard. What's hard is living for Jesus. What's hard is when things get tough, you don't turn around and walk off. That's the hard part. I'm going to wrap it up here. Miss Lisa, will you come play, please? Isaiah 48:10. Back to the verse that got all this started. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I've chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. What is he saying right here? But not with silver. And we just learned about a silversmith. God as the master silversmith. He's not refining us in a furnace like with silver. He's refining us. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. Our furnace is affliction. Got no way around it. I'm just telling you, there's no way around affliction. Go back to Hebrews chapter 10. He said, after you were illuminated, after you get saved, that's when it gets hard. Can't quit. Can't turn back. Are you in the furnace of affliction this morning? That's not punishment, it's purification. It's not abandonment, it's the ultimate attention on you. The furnace, when you're in the hottest part of the furnace, he's more focused on you than any other time. He's closer than any other time. It's not about the pain. It's about the product God is making out of your life. We got to let God do his work. We got to stay in the fire. We got to trust the refiner. Look, life's hard. Being a Christian's hard. I don't do a good job at it. I'm constantly having to ask God to forgive me for what I just thought, what I just said, how I just acted, all the time. I'm telling you, it's nonstop. We're in the fire so that we become more like him. Remember, when he sees himself in you, that's when you're done. We're not going to be like him until we're with him. Stay with him. Don't turn back. Keep working. You got something on your heart you want to come pray about it this morning, come pray. Give him your burdens this morning. Don't keep carrying your burdens. There's no reason.